Nolan's Joker in The Dark Knight is one of the most chilling antagonists of recent film. We all remember his signature line that he repeats 3 times.
You wanna know how I got these scars? Is it the scars? You wanna know how I got them? Speaking of which, you know how I got these scars?
This line is accompanied by a story that the Joker tells about how he got his scars, but the story changes each time. This repetition and particular framing was a deliberate choice on part of the writer, and so the question becomes, what's the point of the Joker's different stories? A number of answers have been offered before. In the Closer Looks video on how to design a great villain, he posits that the Joker's stories stem from his nihilism, that he tells lies because he cares about nothing, not even his own past, and so to him, everything is a joke. Another popular interpretation is that it contrasts the Joker with Batman, a literary symmetry that is rife throughout their story, emphasizing how while Batman is defined and motivated by his past, the Joker has no clear past, and thereby no clear motivation. Both of these have their merits, but they are not the interpretation that became apparent to me on watching The Dark Knight. In fact, I think there's another one that fits far better with the themes and messages of the story. Nolan makes the Joker the perfect foil for Batman in a number of ways. Their conflict exists on not just a physical level, but an ideological one. This is most clearly embodied in the Joker's line during the climax of the film.
You didn't think I'd risk losing the battle for Gotham's soul in a fistfight with you?
Of course, what is the soul of Gotham meant to be like? The Joker's plan at the end of the film sets up 2 boats full of people, each with explosives on them. On one ship are civilians, and on the other are criminals. Each ship can trigger the explosives on the other ship, and the Joker explained that if neither ship pulled the trigger on the other, then both would go up in flames. This plan is perfectly staged, and it may just seem like the actions of an agent of chaos, which he even argues that he is.
Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
But it's a little more nuanced than that. The Joker's ultimate goal was never chaos for chaos's sake, but to prove that all people, when it comes down to it, are just like him.
What were you trying to prove? That deep down, everyone's as ugly as you.
It's a question of human nature. He wants to prove that they're willing to kill people to get what they want, that they're unwilling to trust in the goodwill of humanity, and that we don't believe all people are equal. Instead, that we believe some deserve to live more than others. By having one boat populated with civilians and the other with convicted criminals, Nolan explores this very idea.
Who are you to decide? We ought to talk this over at least.
Those men had their chance.
If even one person on either of the boats chose to pull the trigger on the other, the Joker would have supposedly proved each of these things. Batman, on the other hand, believed that people were not like the Joker, that they were not willing to kill, that people do trust in humanity, and that they all deserve to live regardless of their status. That's why he has his golden rule not to kill. Fundamentally, Nolan is asking whether people are inherently good or inherently evil, a philosophical question that goes back in the ages and will likely never be answered, but it has been asked. The boat was, as the Joker says,
Part of a social experiment.
Yet this final plan is just a scaled up version of what he's been doing throughout the entire film. When he confronts Gambol's men, he forces them to kill one another, proving both are willing to kill to get what they want, that they do not trust in the good of the other.
Oh, there's only one spot open right now, so we're gonna have tryouts.
When he forces Batman to choose between Rachel and Harvey, he's forcing Batman to decide who deserves to live more.
And that's the point. You'll have to choose.
But the question remains, how do the Joker's scar stories fit into this? These act as preludes to his plans throughout the film, and let's take a closer look at his exact wording.
My father was a drinker and a fiend, and one night he goes off crazier than usual. Mommy gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He doesn't like that. So, me watching, he takes the knife to her, laughing while he does it. He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?" He comes at me with the knife. He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face.
Nolan is well known for the deliberateness in the crafting of his films, and the wording of this first story was chosen for a reason. It was told to Gambol, a Gotham crime boss, and those in crime families often suffer from abusive upbringings. Characters like Al Capone were renowned for their drinking, and domestic violence is a well-documented phenomenon within these circles. We don't know Gambol's backstory, but the Joker placed himself in what could very well be a believable backstory for any given mobster, offering the question of, if he could become who he was from that background, then so couldn't this man, as if the Joker was telling Gambol that he could be just like him. The second story the Joker tells goes like this.
So I had a wife, she was beautiful, like you, who tells me I worry too much, who tells me I ought to smile more, who gambles and gets in deep with the sharks. One day they carve her face. We have no money for surgeries. She can't take it. I just want to see her smile again. I just want her to know that I don't care about the scars. So, I stick a razor in my mouth and do this to myself. And you know what? She can't stand the sight of me. She leaves. Now I see the funny side. Now I'm always smiling.
The story was told to Rachel, a woman looking to become married soon, and in a strange sense of meta-foreshadowing, it tells the story of a wife being disfigured and then the husband being disfigured in the same way, mimicking the later event of Rachel's death in the flames and Harvey's face being burned off. The Joker's story of how he got his scars is grounded in that of Rachel's, drawing on her experiences. In both of these instances, the Joker offers a backstory that the person who hears it would believe, and more importantly, empathize with. But the intention isn't to make others empathize with the Joker, nor is it to give any hint of truth as to how the Joker truly got his scars. The audience doesn't know how much of it is truth and how much of it is a lie, leaving his backstory still a mystery. But it's that ambiguity that's the point of it, that while you may reasonably believe that any of these are made up, all of them are believable, to both the characters in the story and the audience who hears them. In the same way that the Joker wishes to prove that deep down all people are just like him, his scar stories serve to make us think that any of these characters, Rachel, Gambol, any of us, could be the Joker, because any of us could share that story. There is a third time that the Joker uses this line, when he's got Batman pinned down up on the scaffolding at the end of the film, but he never actually gets to espouse his third story.
Speaking of which, you know how I got these scars?
No, but I know how you got these.
Even so, we could guess at what he might say, because this theme and how it's explored through the Scar stories actually draws heavily on one of the inspirations for the Dark Knight film, a 1988 comic called The Killing Joke, where the Joker takes guesses at Batman's origins.
I mean, what is it with you? What made you what you are? Girlfriend killed by the mob, maybe? Brother carved up by some mugger? Something like that, I know. Because something like that happened to me. Sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice.
The Joker notes here that he remembers his own origins in a number of different ways, giving him no concrete backstory, because ultimately, anyone could become him if they had just one bad day, as he calls it. The parallels with the stories about his scars are obvious. This interpretation to me fits better with the overarching themes and source material for the film. So you might be wondering, what's the answer? When it comes down to it, are humans like the Joker or like Batman? Well, the film offers no conclusive answer to this. On the one hand, neither of the groups on the boats decide to blow the other up, indicating that people do believe that they all deserve to live, that they aren't ultimately driven by self-interest.
This city just showed you that it's full of people ready to believe in good.
But on the other hand, the Joker then reveals to Batman that he had already won when he corrupted Harvey Dent, the paragon of lawfulness, of honor, of dignity throughout the film. He was the white knight of Gotham that stood above the rest, and by turning him into Two-Face, a man willing to kill, having no faith in humanity or in the good of the world, the Joker feels he's won, because if the greatest of us can fall, then all of us can. Dent even mimics the sentiments that the Joker had earlier on in the film.
You know, they're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little worlds. I'm not a schemer. When I say that you and your girlfriend was nothing personal, you know that I'm telling the truth.
The only morality in a cruel world is chance. Unbiased, unprejudiced, fair.
Ultimately, Nolan's messaging is that this question is far too complex for a single answer, and I really appreciate that in the film. But what do you think? That's all from me. This content was amazingly fun to put together. I've been wanting to talk about it for quite a while. I was just lucky to have a spare video slot, but if you would like to see more of this kind of content, then come join the Patreon Discord community and let me know. We can talk about it, we can talk about anything you like, including all of the fandoms that we have on the channel, and obviously you get to see memes of me dancing, as you can see. Question of the day: what's your favorite villain quote of all time? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, my love, you can follow me over on Twitter, Facebook, or email me stuff that you may address and links in the description below. Stay nerdy, sub-furious, and I will see you in the future.